Good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube and DLive. My name is Tom Luongo. I hope we're all having a great evening. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. And tonight I want to talk about peak crazy. I honestly feel that, and I'm going to get to it in a minute, I'm just going to stall here for a minute while we wait for some people to get into the stream and all that stuff, because I still could really honestly be arsed to figure out how to schedule any of this and send out notifications, because Monday nights at 8 p.m., Friday nights at 8:30. We do this every week. That's the situation. That's the scenario. So y'all know it. Let's do it. So, as always, we're going to talk tonight about what I think some of the ramifications are for what's happening with Brexit and what's happening with Trump's impeachment. And I am not in any way, shape, or form tonight confident about either of these things. So let's get started. You can follow my work over at tomluongo.me. You can follow me as well over at strategicculture.org, where I think I have the lead article today. Moneyandmarkets.com as well, where I write for them once a week, usually on Friday afternoons or Friday mornings. So we'll go from there. But what else do I have to say? So all the links are down below. You can donate, you can subscribe, you can retweet and all that kind of stuff. You can follow me on Twitter, TFL1728. And I'm going to try not to rant too much tonight. I've been doing a little bit too much of that and not enough actual analysis. The analysis is really within the rant, but you know what I mean. The point being, and I'm going to ramble just a little bit early on here. The point being is that Tuesday was a very momentous day, and I fundamentally believe that it's going to go down. It's not going to be remembered in the history books, because it's not. But when we stop and take a look at it, and what do we do here? We look at what happens in the political sphere all the time. And some days are more impressive than others, right? Well, on Tuesday, I got up at somewhere around 7:30. And I know we talked about this a little bit on the live stream I did Tuesday afternoon after the Supreme Court judgment came down saying that Boris Johnson had acted illegally, which I'm still trying to figure out how the Supreme Court even had the jurisdiction to rule. This honestly looked to me like a stitch up from the beginning, because honestly, the Supreme Court doesn't have jurisdiction over a dispute between Parliament and the government, but somehow when it pertains to stopping Brexit and undermining further any of the institutions of British sovereignty as it relates to the EU, well, then we have jurisdiction. But, courts arrogating power to themselves that they don't have constitutionally is nothing new in history. It happens all the time. Matter of fact, it's pretty much de rigueur. It's what the courts do. Governments do the same thing. It doesn't really matter. One of the things you have to remember, and for those of you who don't know, I'm an anarcho-libertarian, but honestly, I've said recently that the word libertarian is kind of permanently injured or permanently compromised in an Orwellian sense. So I just really like to call myself an anarcho-asshole at this point, because that's pretty much what I am. I'm an anarchist and I'm an asshole. And I make no bones about that. So for any of you who are new tonight, yes, I'm going to swear like a sailor and all of that stuff. And if you don't like it, fine. It's okay. There are other streams out there. But if you can wade through the invective and if you can wade through the potty mouth, then find that this may be one of the best political analysis live streams in the world. And I don't say that lightly. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I watch other people's streams, and I'm like, they're not that good. Well, there's some of them. They are good. And even people that I respect, they're not always as good. Because the truth of the matter is that you have to be a special kind of cynic. You have to be this special kind of anarcho-libertarian to see the plumbing of the world the way it actually is without any preconceptions. Because it is as corrupt, if not more so, than we ever could have thought. And Tuesday was a perfect example of this. I wrote an article on Tuesday afternoon after I got done with the live stream. I was tired, and I was, I've been working for 8 hours already at a very high level all day. But I looked at the events of the day, and I went, this is a coup. this Trump impeachment announcement, the attack on Bitcoin, the attack on, gold hadn't been quite attacked yet. They had to wait until the night. They waited until 9 o'clock the next morning to attack gold. But just in general, and some of the other minor headlines of the day, and trying to shore up the Saudi Arabians' position, the Ramco, and all of this stuff, and the Trump speech at the UN, it all just came together within this 6 to 7 hour period of obey. It was like we were watching They Live, for Christ's sake. Obey. Go back to sleep. You don't have any hope. We're going to take you out. I said the other day on the live stream that, they told everybody that, the Brits were told flat out, you can come here to, kick ass and chew bubblegum, but you're not going to do either. It's just not. We're in control, aren't we? So it was a very dark day, but it was also one that you had to know was coming. We'd had it almost a little too easy recently. Brexit, Trump, Salvini, Orban, Farage. Look at what's happening politically. AfD in Germany. Emmanuel Macron, the GGnG, right? All of these things, the win after win after win on a geopolitical front by the Russians and the Iranians and the Syrians and the Chinese against the biggest and ugliest war hawks in the world. Netanyahu almost getting deposed from power. And they had to find some freaking votes to get him one more seat in the Knesset so that he could, Knesset, so that he could be given the right to form a government, which he's not going to be able to do. He wasn't able to do it back in January. He's not going to March. He's not going to be able to do it now. Until he makes nice with Avigdor Lieberman, it's not going to happen. But if you stop and really look at the events, and that article struck a chord, right? Got to the front page of Zero Hedge and stayed there for nearly a day, seen by nearly 300,000 people in that forum alone. I got multiple emails from people saying, wow, I never would have thought of it that way. Wow. At least half a dozen emails and notes from people. I'm still getting ping back notices on WordPress on the article all day long. And this isn't like to bust my hand, pat myself on the back or anything. Look, when you do good work and it's recognized by everybody, you acknowledge it. The truth of the matter is, though, this is why I say you're not going to find better political analysis than right here, is because no one else can write that article. No one else would write that article. Anybody who was seeing it, I'm not even sure they had who has the courage to write that article? I don't know. Not very many. Caitlin Johnstone, Stranahan, maybe a few others. Not many. By the way, all colleagues of mine now. So let's talk about where we are. This is a no-holds-barred push to end populism. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has not wanted to go after Trump for impeachment hearings since February. She realized she didn't have anything on him when Bill Barr was approved as Attorney General. He changed it. He invalidated the Mueller Wiseman argument for the standard for obstruction of justice that they were using for their investigation. He nullified that. That ended Mueller's investigation. The whole thing was ended. And now all they have is now they just really have a bunch of cock-blocked little tiny men in Congress who have power but don't have any evidence. And people like Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and others just can't let it go. But they can't let it go for a couple of reasons. One, they're being told don't let it go. Okay? Never forget that, so looking at Nancy Pelosi, all of a sudden turning around in a 48-hour period over a nothing phone call from a whistleblower he doesn't even fit the standard of it because the guy's a fucking CIA operative, for Christ's sake. A phone call that should have never been leaked to anybody. But Pelosi was had to turn and within a 48-hour period, and all of a sudden, yep, now all of a sudden now we have enough to impeach Trump on. Are you kidding me? For doing his job. Really? We're going to impeach Donald Trump. You know Pelosi, like, down, belted down 2 scotches and went, we can't impeach him for Joe Biden's crimes. And then she was told, yes, you will. Because Nancy Pelosi is not a rule maker. She's not an order maker. She's an order taker. So is Chuck Schumer. So are people like Adam Schiff. They're not even, guys like Adam Schiff aren't even order takers, for Christ's sake. They're true believers. But Pelosi and Schumer are order takers. Never forget that. They don't set the agenda. Don't, in any way, manner, shape, or form, vent your ire in the situation at Pelosi and Schumer and the rest of them. Because they don't make a move unless they're told to make a move. Pelosi's heart isn't in this. But she's been told to do it. Which tells me that they have the votes in the Senate. And everybody's going to look at me like I'm freaking crazy. I've been talking to everybody I know for the last 4 days. I'm like, no, the odds of this are really slim. And I'm like, okay, then why are they doing it? Because they need to distract from something. They need to try and Alinsky this Ukraine thing and boomerang it back on, keep it from boomeranging back on Joe Biden. They don't even want Joe Biden to be their freaking candidate, for Christ's sake. Oh, but we can't let an opportunity go to waste. What opportunity? Trump did nothing wrong. He's like it or not, he's the president of the United States. Like it or not, he's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. And if he's got good intel that a U.S. Government official acted inappropriately and utilized his position illegally, he should be able to inquire a foreign head of state at that level. That's kind of his fucking job. Like, what's their argument? Well, because he's Joe Biden and he's running against Trump for the presidency, this is somehow now like fascism. What? Biden's been caught crowing on tape about doing this at the CFR, for fuck's sake. We all know this. It's not like it's not even like it's hidden. What are they going to impeach him for? They're going to impeach him for being Donald Trump. And I'm telling you, that's what's coming. There's no reason to believe anything else. The Democratic field is hopeless. Joe Biden can't win. They need some way to get rid of him. This is a twofer for them. They get rid of Biden because now he's implicated in this whole Ukraine thing. They get to maybe even place some of the blame for Russiagate on Biden. You wait, they're going to try that, even though it's all Hillary Clinton. It's not like Biden hired Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele and the rest of them. Doesn't matter. Brett Harris, the great Brett Harris is in the House. He said there's no case. Doesn't matter. Impeachment isn't a legal process. It's a political process. Period. It's a political process. If they have the votes, he's gone from office. Doesn't matter whether he's guilty or not. That was the message from the British Supreme Court the other day. An institution, less than 20 years old, just overturned 800 years worth of democratic procedure. All because Tony Blair and Lord Adonis and a few others don't want the Brits to leave the European Union. So they created the Supreme Court and the Fixed Term Parliaments Act for exactly this moment in time. They're not dumb. They knew at some point that there was going to be a challenge in Britain to the European Union. They knew Brexit was eventually going to be on the table, or something like this was going to be on the table, because when the EU fully ripped off the mask and revealed the fact that, the head of the EU Council, this is a rotating version of Emperor fucking Palpatine, for Christ's sake. Once they ripped that mask off, the continent was going to explode. They needed to make sure that they had institutions in place and things in place that they could call up at a moment's notice and utilize to quote unquote, make it legal. Or in the case of Boris Johnson, doing a very normal thing, proroguing Parliament, illegal. Vincere Automori. So when did asking for an investigation into corruption and crime become the crime? Calling for an investigation can only result in proving or disproving a crime. If this was an indictment, if this was the Department of Justice bringing criminal charges against the president, well then of course. But the president can't be indicted, so all Congress can do is impeach. Congress impeaches, the Senate will adjudicate as court of law, as an impromptu court of law. Now, why does anybody here think that Trump's not going to be impeached? Hillary Clinton is making all the noises that she wants to get back in the race. Everybody on the Democratic side is hopeless, brainless, witless. They're all out of money or worthless or weak or useless, with the exception of Tulsi Gabbard, and even she piled on to this ridiculous freaking impeachment shit today, which just killed her credibility in a lot of people's eyes. Because she knows this is nonsense. The president has the right to ask a foreign head of state to look into the crimes of a U.S. citizen. Period. Doesn't matter that that guy is Joe Biden and that he's running for president against the sitting president. It's one of the perks of being the incumbent, by the way. Maybe Joe Biden shouldn't have thrown his hat in the ring, knowing what he knows about what he did vis-a-vis Ukraine when he was vice president. That's Biden's problem. It's not Trump's problem. It's the same thing with the Irish border and Brexit. The EU keeps telling the Brits and Ireland keep telling the Brits, you have to do something about the Irish border. And the Brits are like, we're not going to do anything about the Irish border. That's your problem. It's your customs union. We don't want to be a part of it. Oh, no, you have to do something about it. We're not going to do anything about it. Goods can traverse our border. We don't care. Well, but we don't. No, we don't care. You be the bad guys. The Democrats are trying to turn Trump into the bad guy for doing something he's supposed to do as president. For once, we finally have a president willing to actually start looking into some of the unbelievable levels of corruption that we actually have in our government, albeit mildly. And now we're talking impeachment. We've left the fucking building, guys. Okay? It's done. This is Waterloo. We're not coming back from this. We're done here. The United States is done. This is the day that the United States as a functioning political entity ended. Hillary's making all the noises. She's going to jump back into this race. Warren cannot go the distance. There's no frickin' way in hell they can carry Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, or Florida if they run a harpy from Massachusetts. Okay? It's not happening. She's a harpy school administrator, for fuck's sake. You think any black man in this country is going to vote for Elizabeth Warren, getting triggered by having that bitch be the fucking president after they lived under her tyrannical rule at PS 109 in Brooklyn or whatever the fuck it is? Are you kidding me? Those guys are staying home. You can't win Florida. The Democrats functionally cannot win Florida if they run Elizabeth Warren. They can't win Philadelphia. The DNC knows this, but so right now she's their preferred candidate. And who are they going to pair her with? A gay guy? Beto? I mean, do the math. It's not going to be Bernie Sanders, and it's not going to be Joe Biden. And if it can't be Elizabeth Warren and win the presidency without untold levels of voter fraud, And it has to be Hillary. And how can Hillary beat Donald Trump? Hillary can't beat Donald Trump. She already lost to him once. How are you going to beat? How do you win? How does Hillary win the presidency? She runs against Mike Pence. Because you know what Pence is going to do? He's going to do exactly what Gerald Ford did. He's going to exonerate Trump for his freaking crime, for his non-crime. He's going to look like an asshole, and he's going to run, and he's going to run Mitt Romney's race and allow freaking Hillary to win, because that's Mike Pence's job. That's why he was put in place. Why are they pulling this stuff on Trump now? Because he refuses to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel and Saudi Arabia. Troxel says Wall Street doesn't like Warren. You're making my point, dude. They love Hillary, though. Hillary will give them anything they want. Warren? Russian bot says, look, without an honest media, we're screwed. You're right. We've never had an honest media. Cronkite wasn't honest. Dave Galloway, he wasn't honest either. None of them were honest. It's all horse shit. Those older guys had some level of journalistic integrity, but not a lot. And not comparing, I mean, the average person who works at CNN is no better than that dickhead from the Des Moines newspaper that dug up racist tweets about the guy who wound up inadvertently raising money for his beer fund. Marx is so friggin' full of bile they can't even handle it when somebody does a random act where someone's random act of idiocy turns into something beautiful. They have to destroy it. It's like that moment in Fight Club. What the fuck got into you? I needed to destroy something beautiful. That's like Marxism in a nutshell. Every day it's the same thing. They've destroyed Brexit. They've destroyed Trump. They've destroyed everything. And they're going to destroy it all before they're done, because that's what they do. Because Marxists are vandals. Okay? Even the nice ones are vandals. They don't believe in anything except power. And when you don't believe in anything except power, you have no meaning in your life. If you have no meaning in your life, there's no limit on you. You accept no limits on your behavior to get what you want. Look at what's happening. I mean, I actually think that like Pelosi was, in all of this, I'm like watching Pelosi and she just looks like she's got Stockholm syndrome. She was ordered. Do this or else. This is your job. Now go do it. It's why you were hired. Jonathan Gillespie says, and I'm going to take you down right now, Jonathan. Jonathan, you're young. I know you personally. You're young and you're very naive. And you mean well, but you're very naive. They are coming after Trump with both barrels here. This is serious. This is real. They would not be doing it if they didn't think they had it. It's a political process. Martin Armstrong has been warning about this for 2.5 years. Flat out saying they're going to impeach Trump over something. They just need something. They're going to go for it. And they're going to try it. And they're going to twist arms. And they're going to threaten families. Because at the end of the day, dude, what do they have to do? They got to get 20 people. The Democrats have what, 47 seats in the Senate? They got to get 20 people. 3 or 4 of which are already on their side. So they're already down to like 15 or 16. Because Mitt Romney, Murkowski, Collins, they're all going to vote for impeachment. They're all Democrats. They're all globalists. Lindsey Graham, he's an order taker as well. He'll vote against Trump. Go through the fucking list. You really think that that you can't come up with 15 people that they can't arm twist, threaten their lives, wives, children, and livelihood with to get what they want? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm dead serious here. You have to realize that's what's at stake here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be happy to be fucking wrong. But I'm telling you, this is the game plan. In the same way that the game plan in Britain now is to install the hated Jeremy Corbyn or some version of that as a caretaker government to scuttle fucking Brexit and to force a second referendum before a general election so that the only two options are remain and remain. So that when half the number of people who vote in the second referendum compared to the first referendum vote for remain, the Leavers won't have an argument anymore because their strongest argument is you're not honoring the democratic mandate of the first referendum. But we had a second referendum. Now we have a democratic mandate for this. This is what you have to accept. Hobson's choices from here on out. You don't get a choice in this matter. Telling you, this is what's coming. They would not be going after Donald Trump if they didn't think they had the votes. Oh, I forgot Marco Rubio. That's 5. That's 5 right there. You got to come up with 15 people. What's the fundamental libertarian critique of power, of government, of all of this stuff? Think about this. What do I always say? Bribing 300 million people is hard. Well, let's get it down to the congressional district. Bribing 770,000 people is hard. Bribing one guy? Easy. That's why we have representative government. If you don't understand, that's why we still have representative government. Why all republics eventually fail. You create vectors. Every law and every regulation creates a vector for corruption. Because some asshole, some civil servant, some pencil pusher, some politician has to implement that law. And that guy is gettable. That guy's got a price. Always. Always. Because I don't see one member of the Senate, other than maybe Rand Paul, who would be willing to be taken out behind the chemical shed and shot as opposed to vote. And I don't even think Rand Paul's that guy. Because that's what you have to have. You have to have 33 people, 34 people be willing to be taken out behind the chemical shed and shot in the head, a la V for Vendetta, in order to stop an impeachment. Because it's not about winning at this point. The GOP will throw Trump overboard in a heartbeat because what do we have then? We don't have any choice. Oh, they're going to lose the majority in the Senate. They don't give a shit at this point. They've all been activated. The GOP has done nothing to support Trump during Russiagate, during any of this stuff. Not a thing. At every turn, they have stabbed him in the back. Every fucking turn. Not that he's helped himself in a lot of matters. Not that he's played his cards well. He hasn't. We've talked about that at length. But there's always the opportunity for him to improve. There's always the opportunity. We always leave the opportunity that he's going to do something good. And he has been. Look at how hard he's been working to keep us out of a shooting war with Iran. Now we have a war with Iran. It's a sanctions war. It's ridiculous. It's horrible. It's horrific. We're starving people. At least we're not bombing them. I guess as an American, I'm supposed to be proud and like wave and like change this out for a fucking MAGA hat and, you know, wear the stars and stripes. Like, this is not doing it. The GOP wouldn't dare go after Trump because the people love him. Telling you. It took down Nixon and he ended the war in Vietnam. Nixon was as popular as they come. He ended the war in Vietnam and he was as popular as they came. And they went after Nixon for doing it. I think it's terminal naivete to think that Trump is not in serious trouble here. Unless he's got better dirt than them, unless he's going to go full court offensive in some other way. I He can't go after Hillary. He's not like, he can't even go after Hunter fucking Biden, for Christ's sake. Look, understand that the entire thing, the entire impeachment thing at this point threatens to expose all of this is tangential to the vast conspiracy that was promulgated against Trump that was Russiagate. It's the same country. Poroshenko's government was up to its eyeballs in helping the DNC try to frame Trump. You will start looking into this stuff, you start looking into everything. You start looking into everything, all of a sudden it doesn't just all come out. Brett Harris says, wouldn't it just be easier to put deadly levers on Trump's family and control him? I think they've already done that. But they're still not happy with him. They don't like the fact that he's not controllable. They understand that he's popular. They understand that he has the people on his side. And they don't like that. And they want somebody controlled under their thumb. Cynical Skeptic asked me, I know you were probably late. I already lambasted Tulsi Gabbard for supporting the impeachment. It was a very bad move on her part. Hillary was supposed to, yeah, Stoyanovich is right. Hillary's job was to see all of this get over the finish line. The EU, the TTIP, the TPP, the TTIP, all of that stuff was all supposed to create the web of transnational treaties and to transfer control out of the hands of sovereign nations and into the hands of corporations. Tulsi flipped on impeachment. Yes, she did. So, I don't want to tell you guys, but I'm telling you, they have the votes. If they didn't have the votes, they wouldn't be doing it. They're not going for a vote of no confidence yet against Boris Johnson. Why? They don't have the numbers yet. I just put an article out on my blog about 4 hours ago. Now, think about that in relation to Trump. They're going forward with impeachment. You think it's just a bluff to just keep him bound down and, with the worries about this because that'll get them through the next 4 months? No. They know damn well he's going to win re-election. They know it. There's nobody who can beat him. So if you're going to win the election in 2020, how are you going to do that if Trump's actually in the race? You can't. Could it be a stunt just to get the funds on as far as Tulsi is concerned? Doesn't matter, dude. Leadership is not defined by, I need this or that, and I'm going to play this stunt to get this. Fuck that noise. If you're going to lead and you're going to grab the moral high ground, then you grab the moral high ground and you fucking hold on to it with both hands. It's the same thing I've been bitching at Trump about for 3 years now. Be consistent about where the moral high ground is, Don. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at some comments because I know they've been coming in hot and heavy. Let's see. Dragon M says, yeah, you don't think they don't have 15 senators? They'll bring out the Epstein tapes to arm twist those guys. That's what blackmail pedo operation was for. Now the question is, who has those tapes? Does Trump have those tapes? Does his DOD have the DOJ have those tapes? Who's got them? Who are they going to be used against? Look, if this impeachment thing fails, Trump will win the presidency and his coattails will give him the House back. There's no doubt in my mind about that. RJN 4444, I agree with you, but Trump has to survive impeachment. I'm telling you that this impeachment thing should not be blown off. I'm kind of overstating my case to shock the fucking piss out of you to start entertaining the idea that this is how it's going to go down. Okay? Because you have to be shocked at, because we have to be shocked out of our complacency on a regular basis. Because we're not, dude, he could easily lose here. There was no earthly reason for the British Supreme Court to rule the way they did, except if they had ruled in favor of the government, it would have allowed Brexit to go forward. And that is anathema to the British elite. The orders that come on high, do everything you can to stop Brexit. Guess what? The orders have come in from down on high. Stop Trump, stop Brexit, stop people getting out from underneath our collapsing financial system. That means attack Bitcoin at its core, attack its hash rate. Make a big deal out of it. Bomb the price, $1,500 in an hour. Keep it there. Bomb gold the next day. So, Vincere, I'm saying, yes, the Senate will call for a trial. If the Senate calls for trial, dude, it's over. He's done. You think, why would the Senate block impeachment if they all want to get rid of Trump, which they do? So Joe Elf said, I was skeptical of this theory the other day when you mentioned it. Then I looked at the list of Republican senators. Exactly. Go find yourself 15 or 20. All you have to do is find 20 people. That's it. 20 people are easy. 20 people is child's play for these people. Constitutional standard for misdemeanors is not as high as most think. It's not a misdemeanor in the statutory sense that most people think. Now, you can respectfully disagree with me on this impeachment thing all you want, Jonathan. I'm right, and you're going to be wrong. Trust me on this one. And if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But I'm right. There are a lot of masks coming off this week, and there's certainly some really ugly faces underneath them. When they are all desperate, you understand that we're talking about existential threats to the current power structure. The financial system is collapsing. We're 3 months away from a Bear Stearns. We're 2 to 3 months away from a Bear Stearns incident. That's the way it feels, guys. I was there in 2007, 2008, watching this shit happen. I was as involved. I was one of you, like, up to my eyeballs in this shit back in 2007. It's all I did all day long while I was at work, was listen to podcast after podcast after podcast, and early days of YouTube, all this stuff. I did this all day long. I read articles. That was my life. I played World of Warcraft. I went to my job and did high energy fucking electrochemistry and metallurgy and ingested shit politics and economics. That's what I did. It was my whole life. For 36 hours, I would come home and I would visit my wife and daughter, and then I go back and do it all again. 10 hours in the freaking car every week with nothing else to do except this stuff, right? This feels like that. And when they're at that point, this is not normal times. If this was 3 years ago, no, Trump's not going to get impeached. Today, the stakes as high as they are, telling you, the stakes are far higher than they were when Trump was elected. They thought they had him dead to rights 3 years ago. They thought they had Brexit taken care of 3 years ago. They think they've got Italy under control. They don't. Just wait till France uprises on the 1 year anniversary of the Gilets Jaunes. Macron could be out of power. Hobson's choice. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. Look at the senators that ran against Trump in the primaries. If he's out, they have a pretty easy road against Pence. How long before they take down the window dressings and show us the bare walls and bare their fangs? I don't know, but I'm glad Frank Zappa's not here to see it. I'll be honest with you. What would the 60 million Trump supporters do? What are the 17.4 million Brexiteers going to do? So my honest answer, not a whole lot. Want my hopeful answer? Storm the Bastille. Do you really think that's going to happen? Joel brings up a good point. Being impeached doesn't keep you from running for president again. Problem there? GOP wouldn't have him as their candidate. At age 17, says KB Works, I helped organize anti-war demonstrations in Atlanta, co-organized by the YSA and the SWP. Post-demo meet at Socialist Bookstore, then grok their love affair with Trotsky. No change, 48 years later. The deep state, says El Vaquero, is playing with fire. Without reciprocity-based cooperation, you get something much more ancient, genetic cooperation. There is no reciprocity with what they want to do. We'll agree with that as well. They are playing with fire. They're playing with the kind of fire that ends badly. And it's going to end badly for them. I'm telling you guys, I've been long guillotines now for quite a while. Right? I've mentioned it in live streams. I wrote about it in this month's issue of the newsletter. It's sincere. I'm along guillotines. These people don't know what they're playing with in relation to the anger that they're engendering. But I also am completely unconvinced that there will be populist storming of the Bastille. Because they're just waiting for one of us to get violent on them so that they can justify the fucking lockdown and start taking the guns and every other damn thing. Because that's what they're going to do. Look, they've got all the freaking controls in place. They've got the social credit system and the cameras on every corner and the whole 9 yards. They've got all that, right? No, they don't have it in America. America's too damn big for them to do that with. There's too many places to hide in America. It's not like Europe. Europe is teeny. Europe is small. Like, you can turn that whole place into a surveillance zone pretty easily, other than the freaking Alps. But who's going to launch a rebellion from the Alps? Nothing distracts people more, says Stoyanovich, than the economic ruin and desire for preservation. This will spur calls for full-on socialism. This has all been game theory. Now the big question is, are we smart enough and powerful enough to stop it? And I don't know that we are. I hope we are. I really do. Let's see. Brett Harris agrees, kind of agrees with me. He says, look, no matter, as far as violence is concerned, what happens? Will we storm the Bastille or not? Well, it depends on how pissed off both sides get, because once the violence starts, the Trump people have the advantage. Now, that I will agree with. We have all the guns. Evening, Meandering Mango Man. I'm sorry you're late too. It's been a lively discussion so far. The MAGAPEDs and the Q-Tards, says Tweety Bird, will invent a new 100D chess game to explain Trump's impeachment. Yep, trust the plan. Yep, trust the plan. Dragon M says, look, Russia announced that they're spending $1 billion on mining in Venezuela. China will spend $400 billion on oil from Iran, while Trump goes ahead and sanctions a bunch of people who are no longer going to do any business in dollars anyway. They're dropping the dollar. The deep state is losing. They want war. If Trump starts a war with Iran, this all goes away. Just watch and see. I know. See, this is, and I said it earlier, the reason why this is happening is because Trump is unwilling to go to war with Iran. Now, if Trump is willing to go to war with Iran, all of a sudden he'll be allowed to be president again. I wish the anger was more focused into the scattershot nonsense. Way too many people still care nothing about what the bankers are doing. Read there. Do you really think the people who planned the Iraq and Libya are capable of running a revolution? I don't know. Russiagate, Jonathan, the difference is, and I'm going to continue to pound this point home, Russiagate was never impeachable. And he got very lucky that he made a deal with Bill Barr to bring him in as Attorney General to kill Mueller's investigation. They had him dead to rights, dude. They destroyed the friggin' Congress. They had him dead to rights. Where exactly is the U.S. Bastille? Good question. What's your thoughts on the House Committee's subpoenaing Pompeo for Ukraine documents? I think none of that should be. I mean, honestly, I mean, what's me personally? In general, I'd say, yeah, the government should always be held accountable. The government should have no secrets. Given their motivations at this point, I think Pompeo should tell them to go get stuffed. Politically, I wouldn't do it. If I were Pompeo, even as an anarcho asshole, I wouldn't do it. I tell him to go twist. Go twist. Fuck off. You'll get those in 30 to 60 months. We're putting it together. We'll get back to you. Yep. Trump's ace card is what happens in Israel. If Netanyahu forms the next government, then he will ask him to pressure Republicans to stand behind him. That's very possible, T-Spidey. That's a very good point. But Netanyahu is not going to be able to form a government unless he gives Lieberman what he wants, and he wasn't willing to give Lieberman what he wanted back in March, so he's not going to give Lieberman what he wants now. So I think Israel's headed to a third election, if you want my honest opinion. Not only do they want Trump to greenlight an Iran war, they want to dial up Syria again. Yes, they do. Engine, you're absolutely right. All they will find is one jelly donut. Always a +1 for Full Metal Jacket reference. The U.S. Bastille equals K Street and the various Fed branches. Take out all the think tanks on the neocon think tanks on K Street. It'll be great. Oh, the cries of anti-Semitism will be off the freaking charts, but so what? Who gives a crap? How long does the impeachment process take? It took 4 months to impeach Bill Clinton, and that never even got to the Senate. So this is going to drag on throughout the entire re-election campaign, and then they're going to get rid of him, and then they're going to try and get rid of him right around the time of the convention, so that he won't be able to run as an independent. There will be no other independents. Look, they've got this game planned out, dude. They know what's going to happen here. Trump's fucked. Trump, U.S. Bastille is probably the Eccles building. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what the Eccles building is, the Mariner Eccles building is where the Federal Reserve. Trump needs a very experienced Washington handler to deal with this impeachment inquiry. I bet Newt Gingrich will be chief of staff. I think Newt is far beyond his usefulness. Again, a war with Iraq would require a draft, and that would trigger riots of historic proportions with military mutinies. I will agree. Let the record show that France is anti-impeachment. Well, that's good, France, because this is a freaking bullshit. This is a bullshit charge. If the U.S. goes to war with Iran, Russia will open arms pipeline to counter the U.S. Russia will not allow a hostile U.S. puppet on its border again. All I can say is the boomers need to be removed. Oh, without a doubt. There's absolutely no... absolutely. Spencer says he agrees with me. He says he gave an extemporaneous speech just yesterday about the possibility of a third Israeli election. I don't think anything's going to change here. I haven't had a chance to talk to my friend Halsey English about this, but I'm sure that if you look at the numbers, nothing's really changed. Trump is Obama's third term. More illegals, more debt, more gun control, no Obamacare repeal, no new wall. But no wars either. Mark Shear, you're correct, says Stoyanovich. Nothing fuels an anti-war movement more than a draft. You're right. I agree. When Trump starts the war with Iran, this is the end of the U.S. as an imperial power. They will be exposed, and the New Yorkers are too stupid to realize. I understand. And you have to remember this. And this is the thing you have to remember about this. The Houthis just proved that they can attack omnidirectionally. Attacking Iran is not attacking Iran. You are attacking the entirety of Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, parts of Turkey, all of it. Okay? This is the point. The missiles are going to fly in every direction. And we can't defend against them all. We don't even have air defense systems that are designed to stop these kinds of attacks. The Patriots are no good at this. It's been proven. The reason why they are so insistent that Iran attack the Saudi oil facility is because it's too embarrassing to admit that the Houthis are capable of doing it. It makes all of this military might that we have in the region unbelievably exposed to a counteroffensive that is all out, where thousands of missiles are lit off at the same time all around the region from 12 different directions. Only an idiot fights a war on 2 fronts. Only the heir to the throne of the kingdom of idiots fights a war on 12 fronts. This will not be a 1 or 2 front war. This will come from 4 or 5 or 6 different directions. And God forbid any Russian assets are hit. And don't think that Putin's not going to put Russian assets on the ground in Iran. He would be an idiot not to at this point. The Saudi government will be dead. Oil will be $400 a barrel because the Houthis and the Iranians and Hezbollah will knock out all the oil infrastructure in the Middle East. All of it. All of it. All of it. Tenjin says that, hey, it really seems that they turned the heat on Trump considerably within a week of Bolton's dismissal. Maybe Adelson turned on him as well. Adelson turned on Trump ages ago. Trump turned on Adelson, I think, about a year ago. Yeah, so Russia is expanding its airbase at Hemmen in Syria, and expect that that's going to increase their capabilities. Remember, Putin told Netanyahu he can't fire on Syria anymore. He can't bomb Syrian positions anymore. The Syrians have been greenlit to use their S-300 PM2s, which, by the way, are known as S-400s. If Trump attacks Iran, is the impeachment dead? That's the prevailing theory at this point, WDM. Yeah, $400 a barrel. Say hello to rumbling bellies all over the world, here included. No. And don't you think that that's what they want? A little privation? Good for us. Keeps us weak. Keeps us disorganized. So they're the ones that need to be strung up by their toenails and fed to dogs over the Washington reflecting pool, these sons of bitches. Go long, Tesla. No. It all leads back to Tom's allegiance to Putin. Interesting. Way too many Americans have way too much to lose to storm anything anytime soon, says Stan Minchow. Very wise statement, Sam. I don't think Putin is going to risk the planet. He's simply going to give Iran all they need in weapons. Maybe. It's not like these scenarios, says Fun Fang, haven't been played out in the think tanks. If it happens, it's intended to. Good way to know your NWO thought. That's always been the plan. Correct. All right. We're at 55 minutes and change. Closing on the end of the stream tonight. So let's go over what we talked about. It's probably not a bad idea to do so. Terrible Tuesday was a turning point. It was absolutely another layer of the mask being ripped off. There's a coup on for your assets and your well-being. And the final illusions about whatever it is you think, how you think the world operates, should be gone by now. We live in a world ruled by men, not laws. It's been that way for a while, but it's, again, like everything else. You got to pull that mask off. You got to hit that scab. That's where we are. There's no way of getting around that. I think the impeachment of Trump is serious, as is, I also think that the path to destroying Brexit and destroying the British people, I also think is very likely at this point. At least for now. While the financial system begins the slow process, the slow burn process towards collapse, until the day it does collapse, because all metastable systems like our financial system go broke slowly and then break all at once. They start to break and then they break all at once. They fail and then they collapse. That's coming. It's right here in front of us. Which means that all of the people who stand behind the politicians and behind the public faces are scared to death of losing their access and losing their power. And they will do anything and everything to maintain it. All right, guys. I am just about done. This was a lively one. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. And truth be told, most of you have been following me for long enough to know that when it comes to stuff like this, I really am. All right. Well, it's been great. It's been fun. If you enjoyed what you heard tonight, please give a like and subscribe down below. Please retweet this. If you like my work and you don't actively support it, well, you know, there are plenty of methods down below by which you can support me and my work directly and support this community, because we are the resistance. We're the real resistance. Fuck AOC. We're the people who are going to, we're the community. We're the people who are going to be informed enough to be able to talk with authority to everybody else who is not informed or only half informed. That's our job. My job, why you show up every day. It's why we have 131 people in the stream right now, which is a record for the stream. So I welcome all the newcomers. So if you can, $5, $10, whatever, PayPal, crypto, sign up on Patreon. We just crossed 300 subscribers on Patreon concurrently. That's the first. Happened earlier in the week. Onwards and upwards to 500. That's next. All right, you guys? I appreciate everything. Appreciate it all. Lively discussion as always. You guys are the best audience on the internet. All right, you guys take care. You be well. We'll talk soon. We'll talk Monday, 8 o'clock, as we always do. Keep your stick on the ice.